my name is Cole and this is my brachial plexus video. So the brachial plexus can be divided into 5 sections. You start with the roots, and there are 5 roots, and those are called C5, C6, C7, C8, and T1. So 5 roots. C5 and C6 come together to form the upper trunk. C7 stands alone to form the middle trunk. And then C8 and T1 come together to form the lower trunk. Next, each of the trunks splits into an anterior and a posterior division. So the upper splits anterior, posterior, middle splits anterior, posterior, lower splits posterior, anterior. Okay, the anterior divisions come together to form the lateral cord. The posterior divisions come together to form the posterior cord. And then lastly, this anterior division stands alone to form the medial cord. The lateral cord goes on to form the musculocutaneous nerve. The posterior cord goes on to split into 2 to form the axillary and the radial nerve. And the medial cord goes on to form the ulnar nerve. And then lastly, the lateral and the medial cords come together to form the median nerve, like this. So that's kind of like your characteristic M shape that you can find in the lab. So this is kind of like the basic skeleton of the brachial plexus, but there are also some off branches of other nerves that we can go over. So off of the C5, C6, and C7 roots, we have the long thoracic nerve, and also off C5 we have the dorsal scapular nerve. Off of this upper trunk we have 2 nerves. We have the nerve to the subclavius, and we have the suprascapular nerve. There's no off branches of the middle or lower trunks, and there's also no off branches in the divisions. However, on the cords, we have 1 off branch on the lateral nerve, 3 on the posterior cord, and 3 on the medial cord. This is the lateral pectoral nerve. These are the subscapular nerves. This is the upper subscapular nerve. This is the lower subscapular nerve. And this is the thoracodorsal nerve. And down here we have the medial pectoral nerve. We have the medial cutaneous branch to the brachium. And and the medial cutaneous branch to the antebrachium. Okay, I think that's everything. So now let's go over what all these nerves innervate. This dorsal scapular nerve innervates rhomboid major and minor, and it also innervates levator scapulae. This long thoracic nerve innervates serratus anterior. Nerve to subclavius obviously innervates subclavius. The suprascapular nerve innervates supraspinatus and infraspinatus. All right, going over to the cords, lateral pectoral nerve innervates pectoralis major. And while we're talking about that muscle, medial pectoral nerve also innervates pectoralis major. And it also innervates pectoralis minor. These medial cutaneous branches do not innervate muscles. They just innervate the cutaneous skin. Talking about the subscapular nerves, upper subscapular nerve innervates subscapularis. Lower subscapular nerve also innervates subscapularis. And it also innervates teres major. Thoracodorsal nerve innervates latissimus dorsi. Okay, now let's go over, I forgot to write. These are the branches. So the musculocutaneous nerve innervates the anterior brachium. Axillary nerve innervates the deltoids and teres minor. The radial nerve innervates the posterior brachial and antebrachium. The posterior antebrachium. Medial nerve innervates the anterior antebrachium and a part of the manus. And lastly, the ulnar nerve innervates the manus and part of the anterior antebrachium. All right, and I think that is the whole brachial plexus. Thank you for watching.